There are so many different players in video games. It can range from people who don't make any callouts to others who make it a one-man show. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Crazy Batter, and these are 10 different types of players you could run into in Valorant. Now, before we jump into this video, on this channel I post weekly Valorant videos, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button to not miss any videos to come. Now let's get on to my 10 types of players you could run into in Valorant. The player that I have sitting at number 10 is the player that's not the best or the worst. They ride solidly in the middle of the pack. They're the average player. They're the player that's going to get you kills, use their utility, and maybe get you a few clutches here and there. They're going to sit in the middle of your scoreboard, but not at the bottom. They're not going to have the best aim in the world or the best movement, but they are going to have average. They are the average player. They are the definition of middle ground. They're the player that's going to help your team get over that peak to win. Yes, there's better average players than others, but maybe you just have that luck where you get the better average player than the other team. But they're somebody that everybody wants on their team because they are there to help you. They're somebody who knows the game. They have the mindset. They know what they're talking about. They just need to put everything together and put a little bit more hours in to get to that higher rank. Now moving down the line to number 9. We have the player that everybody hates, not one person loves. The one that goes AFK. For those of you who don't know what AFK is, it's the player that sits in the back and spawn. The player who gets up from their keyboard, from their monitor, from their PC, and just leaves. And or they leave the game. Sometimes they disconnect. It's kind of the same thing. They're kind of in the same area, but they are the people that everybody hates. They turn your 5v5 into a 4v5. Now you're already at a disadvantage. This isn't a game like Rainbow Six Siege, where they throw in other people. They don't do that in ranked, but in a casual match, say for Valorant, which would be unrated, they don't throw anybody new in with you. You just have to play the 5v4. And it's not fun. I mean, it's fun when you're on the other side of it because it takes less and you kind of think that you gotta win. But the people that go AFK kind of ruin the game sometimes. There's no rhyme or reason to it. They're the people that simply everybody hates. The player that if you knew that you weren't gonna play or weren't gonna have enough time to play, then why did you start one? And moving on to number 8. The player that never uses their utility. The player that never uses their utility is like having a turkey sandwich with no turkey. What's the point? It's not a turkey sandwich. Don't call it that. It's like having a teammate when you're watching them in a 1v2 and they're raised and they notice that somebody's sitting in a corner and they still haven't used their grenade. And they don't throw it. They just go for the gunfight and lose. Now, when you're sitting there and you have utility, use it. Don't be that player that is too afraid or thinks that it's not going to work. You have to use your utility. You only get better at it by trying different things, not by sitting back and watching everybody. You aggravate your teammates that you're playing with because they know that you can win these simple situations, but you're not giving it your all because you're too scared. You're sitting back. So in the end of it, just use your utility. Otherwise, you'll hurt yourself and your team. You probably won't win, whether it's a round or if it's the whole game in general. You might be holding your team back. Just use the utility. It's there for a reason. It's meant for you to use it. Moving on to number 7. It's the player that runs on the site and dies without any information. Now this player is usually the entry fragger. It's the person that doesn't really have any information and they're the ones that's going to give you a lot. But I'm talking about the people who you know have no skill, who are the Sovas just randomly running on the site. He's not an entry fragger. Jet? Yeah. Raze? Yeah. There's somebody who should be doing that. They also have utility to help. But if you're somebody who just wants to randomly run without having your team place smokes, or you know there's no smokes, what's the point? You're not helping your team. You're just dying. You're making that 5v5 to a 5v4. And you're hurting your team because now you're down a man. And you didn't really get any information. You just got killed. Coming in at number 6, it's the player that never blames themselves. They blame everybody else. These are the players that never think that they're wrong. They do everything right. They're perfect. They should be radiant the game rather than sitting at diamond or gold. What are you talking about? They're never wrong. They know what they're doing. They have beautiful aim. They use their utility at perfect times. They're the person that sits on B site and blames the person that's on A for their death because they didn't get over fast enough when there's somebody sitting on A. They're the person that everybody wants to. They're the person that everybody would kick if they could, but you can't. That's not a thing. Coming in at number 5, it is the player that makes your ears hurt. The Rager. The person that most likely will rage quit because they're so sick of the game. Because they walk out into a site and die. They're not paying attention and they're just angry. They've been playing the game for too long and they need to take a break. Or they're just that way. They get angry at everything. They could be shooting an area and somebody flank them and they just get pissed. They don't know what to do. They just yell. They're angry and then they blame the person that's next to them. I feel like the Rager and the person that blames everybody could go hand in hand, but I thought that I could put them in 2 different categories just because of the fact that the Rager is usually worse than just a person who blames everybody else. Because the Rager will yell. They will break their keyboard. They will break their mouse. They will punch their monitor. I understand getting angry at a game. We've all gotten angry at a game. And if you haven't, you're lying. But have you ever gone so far to punch a monitor? If not, meet the Rager. I've seen it happen before. I've known somebody who's given themselves a black eye because of the fact that they were so angry at a game. It's just a game at the end of the day. Don't take it so serious. And coming in at number 4, it's the player that doesn't have a mic. The player that doesn't have a mic who comes in and queues into ranked is like a fly on the wall. You can see him, you can hear him at sometimes, but they never actually say anything to you. They just make noises. You hear more of what the character says than what the actual person says. They could be getting you information and you'll never know. What are you gonna do? Sit and look at the map the whole time? You can't. It's not possible. You'll never be able to do that. You'll die. It's not worth it. Now, them dying, yes, it does give you some information. Or them pinging something. That might get you some information. But use your words. It's there for a reason. You're supposed to. It's how you help your team. It's how you help yourself win a game. If you have it, use it. Because otherwise, you're not helping your team. You're hurting them. You're hurting yourself. Don't be afraid. Just use your mic. Moving on down to our top 3. Number 3 is the god at the game. This is the player where you want to die just so that you can spectate them. They come back from a 1v5 out of nowhere that they should have never won, but somehow hit shots that you never have seen somebody hit before. They're the person that makes flicks look like nothing. The person that makes you want to play more and you get better at the game. Now, you never actually do because you don't put in the time like them, because they probably play 24/7. But they're the player that make the game fun. They're so much fun to be on the team with them, but they're so annoying to play against. They're the player that when you peek an angle that you should have a peeker's advantage of, you lose it because they have amazing reaction and amazing flick. They have amazing aim. They're just really good at a game. They're natural born gamers. It's kind of like Shroud. Shroud can play any game, and he's great at any game. He's just got that general gamer mind to him. His body's just used to it. He's been playing it for how long? And still makes people look like they should never have played this game to begin with. Any game that he plays. They're the people that make others look silly. Coming in at number 2, it's the player that sweats. The player that sweats is the person that sits in unranked and has 40 to 50 kills. It's the player that literally their hands are sweating. Now, I understand in a ranked match when it's 12-12 and you're going into overtime and you have to win by 2. Yeah, that's not fun sometimes. But you're going to sweat, whether you want to or not. You want to win the game. So I guess it is a want. Because if you didn't, then you wouldn't have gotten that far. Sometimes it's from a comeback where you're already sweating to begin with because you came back from a 11-6 deficit. They're the player that are ready and probably go a little try hard on you, and you may get a little angry, or you may make other people angry because you go try hard. It's just the way of the game. It's everybody. Nobody can ever say that they've never been a sweat, because they are, because they want to get better. They are better. They want to show it to you. You're proving the other team that you're better. It's just natural. You are who you are. Everybody's been a sweat at least once in their life. So before we get into this last one at number 1, if you've made it this far, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really means a lot. And here is number 1. Coming in at number 1, the player that you see every game, the baiter. For people who don't know what the baiter is, it's the player that baits somebody else. It's the player that makes their teammates run in and they use them as bait. They have them get killed, and then they come in and get the kill. There's a difference between trading and baiting. Somebody who baits sits back a while. They get information from the dev, and they do it on purpose. They don't ever push with somebody, they push behind them. They're usually the last person to get on site. They're one of the most annoying in this game, but it comes every game, and we've all been a baiter once. Even somebody like Hiko says that he does it. He says in order to win some games, you have to bait. Yeah, it's annoying. It gets boring because of the fact that if you are the one that is being the bait, you don't get kills. It's the player behind you that does. Trading, like I said, is different. You can trade. That's what this game is meant for. It's numbers. But when you're a baiter, you sit back, relax, and wait for the game to come to you. And that's going to conclude it for this video. If you guys agreed, disagreed, let me know down in the comments. If you liked it and made it this far, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It really does mean the world. New videos are out once a week. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day and stay safe.